ago, it allowed myself to do that. And acupuncture was something I always wanted to do since I was in high school. I had my parents had acupuncture posters in the living room, and I wonder if that was subliminal messaging by them. But they were pharmacists, and they said they were always fascinated by acupuncture. They stuck these posters up there, and it just gave me the idea that I wanted to become an acupuncturist. But when I was in high school, becoming an acupuncturist was harder than it was today. I'd have to travel abroad to China or some of the other Eastern countries to study acupuncture. But now it's easier to get certified in the United States. And now that I am practicing acupuncture, I'm beginning to realize that I should probably take some time off to learn some more advanced acupuncture studies by traveling back to the East, where I'm actually Chinese. So I have some relatives that practice acupuncture, so it would be relatively easy now that I actually understand the basics of acupuncture to learn more advanced acupuncture.
You mentioned earlier the potential problem of repetitive motion when you're playing the violin, but I read that you insert about 400 to 500 needles per day in your acupuncture practice. Couldn't you have the same problem there?
Totally. It's a common problem among typists, acupuncturists, gastroenterologists, surgeons, dancers, violinists, pianists, anything, maybe even radio announcers. But it's just, I think I'm at risk for it. I really am, so I need to sort of watch myself and take breaks. I tell myself that all the time.
Well, in addition to playing the violin at a high level and being an acupuncturist and a surgeon, you also play the piano. And I saw a video also on YouTube of you playing the piano. Let's listen to an excerpt of that. That's a flashy piece of music. Is it Chopin?
Chopin, Etude Number 1 in C major.
Well, Calvin, you're self-deprecating, but I'm sure most people who are listening to this are going, my goodness, this guy is a high achiever. He plays the violin, he plays the classical piano, he's got this medical practice and all sorts of other things too, no doubt. How do you manage to fit all this into your life?
Well, one thing is I don't have kids. I don't have kids yet, so at least I can't say that my life is taken away by that. I've heard many people who have kids that their lives are all dedicated to making sure their kids have a wonderful life. And I don't have kids, maybe not yet, and hopefully in the future. And I'm almost 38. I'll be 38 in a week. And so in 38 years, I think you could focus a lot on different things and become very good at many different things in life. And for me, it wasn't doing everything at once. It was, first I actually started piano at age 5. And I played for a few years, and I did my best I could with pretty bad discipline, though. Around age 7 or 8, my piano teacher kind of recommended to my parents that he really isn't practicing much, so you should try some other instrument or just don't do piano at all. In other words, I got fired. But, things happen for a reason, so I picked up violin, and I had a more understanding violin teacher. She thought I was maybe slow or something, and so she forgave me for not practicing very much and put up with me, and eventually I learned to love the violin, but it took a while. In the beginning, it was more like a chore, and I did it because the other kids in school and in my town were doing it. But I learned to love it by the time I started violin at age 7. By the time I was about 10 or 11, by then actually violin sounded like regular music. In the beginning, when you're learning that instrument, it was complete torture. And then I just kept practicing. I practiced more and more. I think maybe I could get kind of obsessive and addicted to things, and I got addicted to perfecting my violin sound. So I would practice till 12 at night sometimes, and I just remember my parents telling me, it's pretty late, and you should really study for school, and why don't you put that violin away? And they all needed to sleep, of course. And I was very confused by that because I thought, well, maybe my parents wanted me to stop playing, but I thought they wanted me to play. So it was mixed messages, but in my mind I just had to say to myself that I really love playing the violin, so I'm going to make it kind of a priority for myself to play. And throughout high school and college, I played many concerts and even had in my mind that maybe I'll become a violinist. And along the way, I discovered acupuncture and I discovered medicine, and I had a slight change of heart at that time. I decided, well, let's do medicine first. And if it doesn't work out in medicine, I could do music as well. And maybe one day I might be able to do both. That's what I said to myself as a
And I guess you are.
And I'm getting back to the music now. And when I did go through medicine, I had to focus. And you have to. I remember my residency training program director at Case Western Reserve. He mentioned to us that your life really isn't your own anymore. So you really need to, if you find any time, you need to sleep or eat, and that's about it. If you had any time for violin, you're wasting your life on doing other things, because if you don't sleep enough, you might not be able to perform well in surgery the next day. And that was very good advice. And the violin did end up in the closet, but I kept carrying it around with me in case I had a chance to play.
With the YouTube Symphony, what is the orchestra going to play?
The orchestra is going to play many, many pieces, from Wagner to Mozart to Bach to Beethoven. And we have star artists that are playing with us as well. Some of it is supposed to be a surprise, but I think if you search on the internet, you could probably figure it out.
Well, best wishes to you, Calvin.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's going to be a real thrill to be playing at the Carnegie Hall. Yeah,
it is. It's great to be able to do something like that. Carnegie Hall is legendary for all musicians. It's such a goal for many, many people. It's a place to make music. It's a place where all that technical hard work actually turns into a wonderful product, where we can have passion for music and not put our technical problems away and just enjoy ourselves.
Yes. Calvin Lee, Modesto man who's a member of the YouTube Symphony Orchestra, which performs Wednesday at the Carnegie Hall in New York. He's a surgeon and acupuncturist. Calvin Lee, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We spoke with Calvin last Thursday. He was about to leave early Friday morning for New York, and they're rehearsing right now. By the way, the conductor of the YouTube Symphony is Michael Tilsom Thomas, who's the internationally known conductor of the San Francisco Symphony. That's Insight for today. I'm Jeffery Callison. For more on the guests and topics you hear on Insight, go to our webpage, capradio.org/insight. Today's associate producers were Lynn Weaver and Mara Ponce. Insight's technical director is Mark Jones. Insight's senior producer is Jen Picard. Thank you for joining us. Sacramento City School District votes this week on a plan to close and consolidate schools in response to a budget shortfall and declining enrollment. On the next Insight, we'll talk about this. Also, actor Stacy Keach on his starring role in Frost Nixon. Plus, you'll hear music from Time for Three, a string ensemble performing in Davis, and a modern urban take on the novel The Scarlet Letter. I'm Jeffery Callison. Join me for Insight
tomorrow morning at 10 on Capital Public